Type, we're doing the chapter of polynomials and rational function here, chapter 3. Before the last part, we talked about the polynomial and how the polynomial look like, correct? And we knew how to find the remainder if we have a polynomial, okay, that is divided over a factor, which looks like this one. We can use either this method or we can just substitute by the value. Here, we take the c, which is 3, substitute inside the function, and then if the answer is 0, that means the remainder is 0. If it's not 0, then directly you'll get the value of the remainder. And if the remainder is 0, that means what? That means that this is a factor for our polynomial. Okay, so it is one of the factors. That is when you divide your function over this, okay, you will get another factor where remainder بيكون 0. Yes, we knew that before in our previous class. Okay. Type, now we want, and we started, we did this also, this part. If we have a polynomial, okay, or a rational function, and we need the solution, but the f of x is equal to 0, we need it in the case f of x less than 0, or f of x greater than 0, or less than or equal, or greater than or equal. Type, for this, we did this example. If we have this polynomial and it is factorized, okay, حللناها in brackets, okay, and we want the solution when this one is less than 0. Okay, so we want it when this is less than 0. And to do that, we said what? First, we will solve this when this is equal to 0. We equalize the polynomial بصفر. And if it is a multiplication of some factors like that, then we find when this values for of x that in which this polynomial will be equal to 0, okay, or the solution أو الroots بتاعنا equation. So either this one is 0 or this one is 0 or this one is 0. طيب, and then we get the values. عندنا لقينا شنو 3 values اللي هي either x بتساوي 0 or لما x ب 2 برضه this one will be equal to 0 or x plus 4 equal to 0, that is when x is equal to minus 4. Okay, and then what we do? Then we examine the value or of the function before and after these points, or within that interval. Why? Because we had the we had one of the theorems اللي هو الستيتمنت بتاعه شنو؟ that is the function will not change sign، يعني من حتة تكون هنا مثلا negative and to be then positive unless it crosses x axis. يعني unless انه الفاليو بتاعت الاكس هنا تكون الفاليو بتاعت الواي تكون صفر، صح؟ عشان تتغير الفاليو بتاعت الواي from negative to positive it should pass through the point 0. يبقى إذا عايز أعرف الفانكشن where it is negative, where it is positive, it's easy to find these points اللي هم where the function will cross the x-axis, okay, and then test. Okay, if it was positive before this point and then negative and then positive, okay, so that is all the period here the function will be negative. It cannot change the sign unless يكون في زيرو تاني، صح؟ عشان الفانكشن to change. For the function to change، يعني مثلا لو كانوا دول الزيروس حقني، okay، So لو كانت ال value of the function let's assume مثلا هنا كانت negative. Okay. So it will continue to be negative. صح؟ unless يكون في a 0 point اللي هي ال y value is 0. Okay, or it crosses the x axis, and then after that if it change to positive معناها it will go like this after this point. Or else what it could happen لو كانت هنا negative and still after this point again it is negative, that means it will return back after this point. Okay, and then actually and what will happen more, it will continue to be negative. Okay, and then if is another point before it was negative and after it was positive, then this will never happen unless there is this point, correct? So the function will be equal to 0 and then change to a positive. يبقى عشان to know where the function is positive and where it is negative, it is important to find these points, correct? اللي هم x intercept. Okay, يبقى we need to find the x intercept and test the function before البوينتس. يعني مثلا where here معناها from minus infinity لو كان الدومين من minus infinity لحد infinity. طيب okay, so we we take any point in this interval, okay, and know الفاليو حقت الفانكشن. مثلا هنا طلعت negative, and then what else? Now for the other interval which is this one to this one, and check the value of the function in this interval. Take any point, substitute with the function. So if for this point is negative, a value, so that means for this one is negative and for this one is negative and here is why? Because no other intercept. ما في تقاطع تاني عشان يخلي الفانكشن to change to be positive. You got the idea? Okay, and etc. And then after that we examine the behavior of the function in this interval as well, اللي هو from this one and up to infinity. So how we examine? By taking just a point and substitute inside the function to know what value شنو positive or negative. So if it is positive, that means the function should go out from this point like that, okay, to be a positive value. Or that is the function will cross بدل ما كانت negative, it will cross here and then change to a positive. Okay, اللي هو intermediate value theorem. Okay. Any question on this part? طيب يبقى for this function now we want to know when it is less than 0. To do that, what I'll do, I'll solve this polynomial when this is equal to 0. طيب when it will equal to 0, when x بتساوي 0 و x بتساوي 2 و x بتساوي minus 4, I found them from here. Okay, then what I'll do, I just draw, okay, al y axis. Let me do it again here. I draw the real line. Okay, so you draw the real line and then put these points and examine the interval between them. And here the smallest, and here minus 4. So this is the minus 4. Okay, and then after it 0. Okay, for the red line, and then after that 2. I have only 3 points. So that means I have to test the function where and where. This is minus 4 and up to minus infinity. So that is, I'm going to take any point here which has a value between minus infinity and minus 4. Okay, and substitute with it where? In the function, to know the value of the function here. Okay, يبقى عندي this is the first interval. I'll check this part here. So we take a point. Can I take the minus 4? No. Take any value in between, because in minus 4 it is 0. When x to put it minus 4 plus 4 is 0, and 0 times كل terms دي is going to be equal to 0. يبقى I'll take a point from where? From the middle. Okay, within the interval. not في الend بتاع الانترفلز. طيب اوكي. Then after that I test also by taking another value where between -4 was 0 here. So you can take any other point and substitute in the function. And then after that, take any value between a 0 with 2 and also you substitute it في الفانكشن عشان to know هي positive ولا negative. Lastly, fill this interval which goes up to infinity. Take any point here and substitute with. For instance, I can take between a 2 والinfinity, I can take مثلا 0.3. Between a 0 و2, I can take the 0.1. Between a -4 و0, I can take any point. مثلا I can take -1. Between a -4 والminus infinity, I can take مثلا -5 or -10 or whatever. What I do with these points, I substitute with them inside my function to know a function is positive or negative. طيب, to do this, it's more easy to divide my function لfunctions, small functions. يعني this function عبارة عن multiplication of this function, let's call it f1 times f2 times f3. If we multiply all this هتديني, this is my function, correct? طيب, what I do, I will examine the small function, this one alone, and then this one alone, and then this one alone, okay? Negative ولا positive, okay? So this is what we did here, okay? Then الهيل intervals قلنا -4 was 0 with 2. Okay, so the first function -3x, which is this one. We take a point here like -5 and substitute in this function. So -3 في -5 it's going to be positive صح؟ اللي هي plus 15 ما بيهمني الvalue بيهمني انها negative ولا positive. So it is positive. And then I take another point في other interval اللي هو between -4 و0. Take any point between -4 و0. فin particular مثلا I can take -1. Another student can take -2. واحد ممكن ياخذ -half. كل الvalues دي are here. Any point you like between this and this. But always take the things that easily you can substitute with. Okay? And what we do? We substitute with in this function if you want. And then it is positive again. And then take this and substitute. It is negative. Okay, I'll hit clear. 1 في -3 is -3. So it's minus. Correct? And then 1 from here, I'll hit 3 في -3 is بالminus. Okay, so we finish with this first function. Now we come to the second function. We do the same. Take the same points. Okay, so -5 and substitute it here. 2 minus -5. That is 2 plus 5, which is 7. It is positive. Okay, and then take the -1 and substitute. It's going to be 2 minus -1, which is 2 plus 1, which is 3 positive. So it is positive, and etc. You do the same for this. And then for this function, also you do the same. And don't forget the square because it's squared here. Okay, so you evaluate. And now we want to know the behavior of the whole function, not a part of this. But it is, this multiplied by this multiplied by that. That is positive, phi positive, phi positive, which is positive. And then after positive, phi positive, phi positive, still it is positive. And then here it was negative, phi positive, phi positive. Negative phi positive is negative. Negative phi positive is, so the final is negative, correct? And the last one also negative phi negative is positive, and then positive phi positive is positive. So this is a signs of the function. Which function? This function في different intervals. يبقى the function behavior حقها from minus infinity up to -4, it is positive function. So that means what? That means it is here. It is positive. Okay. Okay. يبقى هنا الفunction is what? It is positive. Somewhere here it is positive. Okay. And then after that in this interval اللي هو between minus 4 و 0 we find that it is what it is also positive, so also positive. So that is a function here in this point, just it will not cross, it will touch the x-axis and return back. Okay, and here then it is negative between a 0 to it is what it is negative. If this is crossing point, then your function معناها it will go and somewhere it should come and go to negative لأنها كانت positive and then change to a negative. Correct? You got the idea? And you go like that وفي النهاية بيجت شنو؟ بيجت after the 2 again it's positive. So again it is positive. So again it will cross your function, it will cross the x-axis here at this point. Okay, البيهمني where it is positive and where it is negative because I want to solve that. طيب, and I need when it is just less, not less than or equal. Okay, يبقى where it is negative, here it is negative, no. Here it's negative, no. Here it is negative, yes. So it's only negative where? Here. All في other interval it is positive. So it is negative between what and what? Between the points 0 and 2. هل الزيرو وال2 are included؟ لا، لأنه هنا ما في equality. لو كان في equality كان I need also the 0 and the 2. But here he said just less than. يبقى الانترفال حيكون شنو؟ الانترفال is the 0 هو الاوبن interval 0 to every point between 0 to but not a 0 or not the 2. يعني for instance الواحد yes الماينس واحد لا طبعا لانه هي between 0 وال 2. طيب النص half yes 1 over 3 yes 1.5 yes everything between 0 to 2. And if you want to examine, just take a point in this interval like مثلا ال1 and substitute here. You're going to find that function is going to be less than 0. Okay, so either you go like this step by step, or if you like you can just يعني not do all that. Substitute immediately x بتساوي 0 here. مش 0 sorry احنا هناخد البوينت اللي هي مثلا minus 5 here. And then you're going to find that it is positive. And then take the minus 1 and substitute. You're going to find that it is positive. And then take a point here في this interval اللي هي مثلا 1 and substitute وهكذا and get positive, negative. You'll get this. We did this because the calculation is going to be more easier بس. خلاص يعني I'll calculate for this and then for this and then for this, and at the end we calculate for this اللي هي my original polynomial. Okay, but it is a multiplication of this في this في this, so it's a multiplication of the في this which is positive. Is it clear? Any question? Okay, inshallah I'll do. طيب, I'll give you a chance to unmute. Okay, so you can, if you have any question, you can unmute your mic. Inshallah, I'll send you the recording of the classes. طيب, up to here, is there any question or it's clear? Type here, there is another example. This example. Okay, we want to know a solution for the case x greater than or equal to 0. Type, to find this solution, what we do? Also, we have to find the zeros. Okay, we have to find a zeros. What is the 0? When this function is equal to 0. This function is equal to 0 when this part is equal to 0. And this will happen when x minus 4 is equal to 0. That means x should equal to 4. So this is 1 point. So is it only 1 point? Also, you have, if the function is not defined in a certain point, also you have to include it as well. طيب this function is undefined when this one is equal to 0, correct? الفانكشن هنا هتبقى غير معرفة لأنه ما بقدر أقسم على صفر. So when the point the function will be undefined when x is equal to -2. So always if you want to solve the polynomial, what you do? You check the zeros and also where the function is not defined. طبعا في previous example here it's defined everywhere. Actually الدومين كله real number, correct? عشان كده ما كان في points where the function is not defined, صح؟ طيب okay. But in this example here the function is not defined when x equal to -2. I'll consider all these points. Actually there are 2 points. So again we will draw our real line. Type. This is our real line, and then we put the points -2. Well, for which is the smaller, here -2. So I start with the smaller, here the first point, here -2. So the other point, what? It's 4. So what next we do? We pick some points to test the value of the function. This اللي هي كل الفانكشن دي. Okay. طيب okay. Like اللي هي ده معناها from -infinity and up to the point -2. طيب like what? Take any point here. مثلا for instance -3. Correct? طيب between the interval and other interval where? The other interval between -2 and 4. Also take any point between -2 4. The easiest is 0. صح? I can take the point 0. And then after that between ال4 والوات والinfinity. This is لحد الinfinity. طيب take any point here. For instance, I can take the 5, the value 5, the 0.5. What we do with these points? We substitute this here in this function, okay? This function to know it is positive or a negative. So take the -3 and substitute here. If you substitute with the -3, what is -3 -4? It is -7. Okay, this is -7, and here -3 plus 2 is -1. So -7 على -1 it is going to be positive. يبقى هنا في interval this one the function is what? It is positive. So I have to write it is positive here. Okay, in which interval? اللي هو from -infinity till the 2. Then now I take from the -2 and up to the 4. Okay, so we took the point مثلا 0. Okay, if I substitute with the 0 هيكون عندنا شنو? x minus اللي هو 0 minus 4 it is -4 over 0 plus 2 it is 2. So this is equal to -2. So it is what? It is negative. So in this interval it is negative. يبقى في البيريود اللي تحت it is شنو? Negative. And then lastly we want to test the third. احنا عندنا كم interval؟ عندنا this is an interval وعندنا another interval this one وعندنا this one. Correct? يبقى عندنا 3 intervals. I want to test the functions في different 3 interval. This, the first and the second and the third. This goes to infinity. Correct? طلع في الأول شنو؟ positive. في الثاني negative. فضل اللاست اللي هو we take 5 and substitute with it. So 5 minus 4 is 1. 5 plus 2 is 7. So 1 over 7 it's positive. So يبقى in this one interval اللي هو last one here the function is what? It is positive. Okay? You can do like that or you can divide a function like we did before here if you want and then you divide. يعني if you want to separate them like that and then after that divide the values, it's up to you. Okay? But here it is simple يعني ما في functions كثيرة. Okay? Or else what you do? You calculate for الكيس الأول لما شنو x minus في x minus 4 x minus 4 sorry. Okay? And then you do الانترفلز بتاعتك تاخدها. Okay? اللي هي البوينتس حقتنا this and this and test الvalue is going to be positive or it's going to be negative for this one. And then after that, you do the same for the case x plus 2. Okay. And then you test يعني like that وتطلع القيم positive here ولا negative, here positive ولا negative, correct, and here as well, and then here in this interval here and here and here and here, and at the end you sum up اللي هي شنو we want a division of this. So then at the end you do x minus 4 على x plus 2 like this, and then examine الvalue final values to talk about this function. But here it is simple, يعني only this over that. So immediately I can do like this and find the final answer. يعني no need to go for this alone and this alone and then find this. But if you would like to do like that, it's up to you. Okay? طيب. and احنا بعد ده فضل شنو؟ We want to solve. We need where it is greater than or equal to 0. طيب. Greater than. Here. هنا في no. And here. Okay? Positive. Greater than 0, that means here and here. طيب اوكي. يبقى from minus infinity till minus 2. minus 2 included ولا لا؟ اي نعم هنا في equality, but don't forget minus 2 the function will not be defined here. يبقى I will not include the minus 2. اوكي. يبقى الانترفال الاول حقي حيكون شنو؟ from minus 2 minus infinity. And this is very important في الحالة بتاعت true false وبتاعت multiple choice وكده. From minus infinity up to minus 2. Okay, always from minus infinity, it's like that. minus 2 here either closed or open. Yes, هنا في equality. But I know minus 2 here point where the function will not be defined. يبقى I will not consider minus 2. I just make it like that. So this is the first part, or first عشان مديني solution greater than or equal to 0. طيب where it is positive also, it is also positive in this part. يبقى what? This union, because also it is positive here. So that is union. What is this interval? From 4 and up to infinity. Always from the side of the infinity, we make the bracket like that. Type from the side of the 4. أما open bracket ولا closed bracket? It is closed bracket. Why? Because here it is greater than or equal. Well, function is defined there. يبقى from 4 up to infinity. يبقى this is the solution. يبقى السوليوشن حقنا from minus infinity to minus 2 union, and also في الانترval from 4 and up to infinity. Minus 2 is excluded ليه؟ لأنه الفانكشن is not defined at minus 2. لأنه at minus 2 يبقى حيكون عندي division over 0. Okay, clear? Any question? Any question in this part or clear? Okay. Now, the last part of this chapter is talking about the variation. What is the variation? Type. Actually, we're going to talk about a function. If we have a function in مثلا y and x, when we say that they are directly proportional or inversely proportional. Okay, first of all, what do we mean by directly proportional? That is, okay, if we have a function, look at the x-axis and this is the y-axis. If we have a function, just let's say like this. Okay, what kind of variation is that? This is x1, مثلا this is x2, this is x3 وهكذا. So this is x1, x2, and this is x3. Okay, for instance, let's say this is okay, this is x1, so a value of that x1, and this is the relative y1, correct? طيب, when I increase the x, مثلا like في x2, then what happens to the value of y? increased as well. So this is y2. So when x increase, okay, what happens to the value of y? y increase. Okay, so يبقى الفاليو بتاعت الاكس والواي are directly proportional. Okay, طيب, and we say that y is directly proportional to x. So if always y and x are directly proportional, then we say that what y is equal to some constant times x. يبقى always in the case of y varies directly as x, we write y بتساوي kx like that. Clear? طيب. Inversely proportional. That is what? That is when x increase, y decrease. Okay? So, and I'm talking here about certain k non-zero constant or real number. Let k be a non-zero constant and real number. Okay. طيب, and let's if k is positive مثلا, طيب, what if this is the case? مثلا كان عندنا function, okay, when this is x1, okay, this is y1, and when this is x2, okay, sorry, this is x2, so y2, so here it is increasing. Type what as well? Type what if it is like that? This is x, sorry, the opposite. Type if it is like this. Okay, if this is x1 and this is y1, طيب, now this is x2. شنو الاكس value increase بتزيد لما في الريل line if I'm moving to the right الفاليو بتاعت الاكس بتزيد صح؟ طيب, now what about y? It is decreased. So as x increase, y decrease. Okay, so this is an example to say that x and y are inversely proportional. Are inversely proportional. طيب لما يقول لك y varies inversely as x, okay, this is y إذا كانت ال k is positive, that is y is proportional, inversely proportional, that is y is proportional to 1 over x. And it's clear في الحالة دي كل ما x تزيد لو 10 معناه 1 على 10. But لو 100 1 over 100 يبقى the fraction will be smaller. الفاليو بتاعت الواي بتساوي is less. Okay. طيب, and this one we write it يبقى في الحالة دي بما انهم هم inversely proportional, that is y is equal to k over x. There is this constant over x. Okay. Y varies directly as x. Y is directly proportional to x. That is y بتساوي kx. Y varies inversely as x. Y is inversely proportional to x. اللي هي y بتساوي a constant over x like that. طيب, y varies jointly as w and x. So a change of y depends on both w and x. W and x. Okay. يبقى شنو؟ y varies jointly as w and x. That is jointly proportional to w and x. That is y as both increase the function, the y will increase. مثلا y proportional to both w and x. So two variables. Okay. We write this as y is equal to some constant في w في x like that. Okay. And this is, we call always this k, we call it the constant of proportionality. Okay. K is, we call it, the constant of proportionality. طيب, let's take some examples. Okay, we want to see application of that. طيب, the amount of an allergy medicine that a physician prescribes for a child varies directly as the weight of the child. يبقى الامount of the medicine ماله is directly proportional to the weight of the child. First, I have to read the question well and to understand what I have been given, to put equations and then to solve. طيب, اللي هي amount of what of the medicine is directly proportional to the weight of the child. Okay. That is, يبقى احنا عندنا لما حاجة تكون directly, that means there is a constant of proportionality. This we can write it as A, amount is equal to some constant times the weight. Okay. And if I knew this constant, whenever I've been given the weight, I can find the amount of the medicine. Or if I have the amount of the medicine, I can find the relative weight. Okay. طيب. And he told me that clinical research suggests that 13.5 milligram of the drug should be given for a 30-pound child. واحد وزنه 30. طيب, اللي هي شنو؟ بقيت اللي عندي شنو؟ I can now calculate the K. How can I calculate the K? He told me that الدراسة قالت 30 الطفل الوزن 30 باوند that is 30 this 30 في هذا الكونستنت K مفروض تديني الاماونت اللي هو 13.5. يبقى في only one missing. Okay, I can found that K. How? Divide both sides على 30 يبقى 13.5 على 30 is equal to K. يبقى we found the constant of proportionality in this case. And then after يعني هنا constant of proportionality حسبه طلعت له 0.45. Okay. يبقى now I can find an equation between what and what? Between the weight of the child and the amount of drug he needs. يعني حتكون equation حقتنا amount of drug. I can find it. This is equal 0.45. This is the constant of proportionality that I calculated times what? Times the weight of the child. Because both they were directly proportional. I found the constant of proportionality. خلاص. And now after that, he asks you to find the amount that is needed if the child weight is 50. Easily أعوض محل الويت 50. يبقى الامount is equal to 0.45 times 50. So we multiply this time that and we got the amount. And then after that, he asked us to find it for the case of 60. Okay, so that is يبقى amount needed is equal to 0.45 times 60. يبقى the first thing I have to find the constant of proportionality. If two quantities are directly proportional, you have to find the constant of proportionality from what? From some information حتكون موجودة في equation. يعني if I have the A and W for any certain, okay, so I can find this one. Actually, it is like the slope. It is like the slope. لأنه إحنا عرفنا شنو. If we have a straight line like that, what? Always every straight line it has the same slope. هو نفس الانحراف من x axis. صح ولا لا? Okay, so and this we call it m, correct? And usually for any line equal y is equal to mx. Okay, and this is in the case لو ماشي بالorigin. If this c is equal to 0, that is the y-intercept is equal to 0, correct? Okay, so this is, if this is 0, this is the constant of proportionality اللي هو m, slope. Okay, so here if you draw this, you're going to find just equation of straight line, and as if this one اللي هو ال constant of proportionality or the slope of the line. Okay, so I need to find this. If I found it, خلاص, I can begin the equation whenever I know either the A or a W. If I have the A, I can find the W. If I have the W, I can find the A. Okay? طيب. Then the last question was, a nurse wants to double check the dosage on a doctor order of 18 milligram. For a child of what weight is this dosage appropriate? طيب. Now I don't know the weight. Okay, this amount of 18 is appropriate to which weight? So I have this LA, it's none, or this is 0.45. Okay, and then to what W? I need the W. To which weight? يبقى خلاص هعمل this is the subject. I'll divide both sides على 0.45. فهنا على 0.45 وهنا على 0.45. Correct? So then you can calculate the value. هيطلع لك ال weight of the child. Clear? طيب. Another example. The loudness of a sound measured in decibel varies inversely as the square of the distance between the listener and the source of the sound. A loudness, okay, let's give it any letter, okay, measured طبعا بالديسيبل is varies inversely. That means it is inversely proportional to what? To the square of the distance. يعني الديستنس لو دي square of the distance, this is the square. A loudness ممكن اسميه A, ممكن اسميه L, اسميه whatever. Let's call it مثلا L. If you want A, put A, ما في مشكلة. طيب, between the a distance here, distance between شنو? Between the listener and the source. يبقى عندي source هنا listener, okay, somewhere here. This is the distance between them. طيب, the loudness of the sound, what? It is inversely proportional to D. أول حاجة أخدت الإيكويشن. L is inversely proportional. That means 1 K inversely proportional 1 over what? هل D؟ لا، قال لي square of D. يبقى D square. Okay. So I need to write it as an equation. This implies L is equal to some constant multiplied times 1 over D square. So over D square. Okay. So now I had the equation. But to find any one of the two values, first I have to find the K. هل في أي information اداني لها to calculate the K? Yes, they found that between the listener and the source of the sound. Okay. If the loudness of sound is 17.92 at a distance of 10 feet from a stereo speaker, اداني information. They found that the one who stands 10 feet away from the source, the loudness was found to be that. He gave me this and this, then I can use them to find my K. طيب اللي هو ده عندي اداني شنو 17.92 is equal to K over D square. What is a D? It is 10. So 10 square, which is 100. ال 100 هي شنو 10 square. يبقى I can calculate K. Correct? K هتساوي شنو 100 في 17.92 صح؟ إذا ال K is equal to 100 times a 17.92 which is 1792. يبقى لقيت ال constant of proportionality. لقيت ال constant of proportionality. يبقى if I have this, whenever I know one of this, I can find the others. يبقى هيكون عندنا بقى عندنا equation. What equation we have? We have L هتساوي ال constant, what is it? 1792 over a distance square. Okay. What is the decibel? Decibel معناه شنو؟ معناه loudness. Level 20 feet from the speaker. طيب if this one moved بيجي here اللي هو how far it is from him from the source 20. Okay. طيب so what loudness he will hear. loudness حيكون كم؟ طيب so I'll just substitute here. اللي عندنا distance بقت كم؟ 20. So 20 square. So that is the loudness is going to be equal 1792 over 20 squared. And then you calculate. And what do you think? Is it going to be higher or smaller than 4010? هيكون higher ولا smaller؟ واحد هو قال لي inversely proportional. Inversely proportional that means when a distance increase the loudness should decrease. يبقى متوقع مليون في المية إنه a loudness is going to be smaller than this amount here. Yes, and exactly this will happen لأنه I am dividing over a number, a greater number. صح؟ ال10 تربيع 100 ال20 تربيع اللي هي 400 يعني هتقسم على 400 بدل ما yes so and يبقى it's going to be smaller. Okay, so here he found the k يبقى L بتساوي this k over d square. Okay, and now the d when the d is 20 when the d is 20 you calculate so it is 4.48 decibel and clear it is less. وصح لما الsoftness بتاع الساوند when you are far it's going to be شنو؟ It's going to be smaller. Whenever you are near it's going to be higher. When you go far it's going to be smaller. ده ذات المتوقع صح؟ طيب يبقى first you have to understand the problem to write the equation. Okay, and then after that from this equation to يعني طبعا if the k is not there you should find a way to calculate the k from the information given, and then after that what you can solve for L أو for D على حسب المعطى عايز توجد الدال. clear clear. طيب طيب here there is another example. The kinetic energy of an object, okay, varies jointly as the weight of the object at the sea level and the square of its distance. طيب عندي واحد kinetic energy, okay, so this is the kinetic energy, okay, of an object varies jointly, okay, as the weight of the object and as the square of its velocity. يبقى بتعتمد على حاجتين الويت والسكوير of its velocity. يبقى jointly اللي هي E varies jointly with what? With the weight of the object and the square of the velocity. يعني هنا V square والweight هي W. So W وفي V square لأنه ما في inversely ما قال لي inversely على ال velocity. Okay. And it is directly proportional to them. Okay, so that is if I want to write the equation that is E بتساوي K في W في V square. Okay, so what other information have been given? During a hurricane, a 0.5 pound stone traveling at 60 meter per hour, okay, has 81 joules of kinetic energy. Okay, اداني energy واداني velocity واداني weight. يبقى I can calculate the K. This is given, this is given, and this is given. اللي هو شنو؟ الستون كان الويت حقه كم؟ 0.5. يبقى this is 0.5 times الفيلوسيتي كانت شنو؟ الستون traveling 60 متر per hour اللي هو ده دايمنشن بتاع شنو؟ بتاع سرعة صح؟ الفيلوسيتي الدايمنشن حقها أو اليونتس حقتها متر per hour. Okay, so I knew that this is the velocity. From the unit sometimes you will understand the quantity is what. طيب اللي هي عبارة عن 60. But as per the rule 60 square. Okay, al K I don't know it. And he told me that al energy it is 81 طبعا joule. يبقى can I find the constant of proportionality? Yes. يبقى that is K is equal to 81 and over 0.5 times طبعا ممكن احسب 0.5 في 60 في الاول سكوير وبعدين اقسم على المهم anyway. So we calculated the K. Suppose the wind speed doubles to 120 meter per hour. يبقى بدل ما كانت السرعة 60 بقت 120. He needs now for this he need what the kinetic energy. طيب after finding K خلاص K it is found we can calculate it. Now what I change? I want to find the energy, the new energy in case that instead of moving or traveling with speed of 60 now it is 120. طيب K I know it خلاص we substitute الفاليو حقتها في what about W? He didn't send me that for another object. He's using the same stone, correct? He changed only the velocity. So I'll take a W اللي هي 0.5 and then velocity اللي هي is going to be 120 and then this is the square. خلاص I know this, I know this, so immediately I can calculate the energy. So you can calculate the energy, okay? So here he found the K and then after that this is the K بما إنه عرف ال K, okay? So this is the equation that governs the energy with the weight and with the velocity, okay? And then so this is the answer. طيب and then after that yeah yeah you found when it was moving with a speed of 120 so it is energy is 324 which is greater than the first case صح في first case كانت 81 لما كان ماشي ب 60. So for the first same stone okay if the speed كانت 120 طبعا definitely the energy is going to be higher which is going to be equal to 324. Clear? طيب the last example. The amount of a simple interest earned in an account varies jointly يبقى التغيير حقه بيعتمد على اثنين حاجتين. اوكي اللي هو شنو في الاول الانترست. اوكي jointly as the what? As the interest rate. So the rate and the time of investment and the time of investment T. Okay, so what do we have? We have the interest is what varies, okay, and he didn't say inversely but just only jointly يبقى في الحالة دي both شنو directly with this and directly with that. طيب يبقى الانترست is proportional to two quantity to the rate okay and the time. Okay يبقى this if we need the equation so the interest is equal to the constant times the rate times the time. Okay. طيب an account earns 20 $200. طيب يعني لو كان الانترست كان او الفايد او الربح كان 200. اوكي. in 2 years في فترة كانت شنو في خلال سنتين لما كان الريت 4%. يعني if you went to a bank, okay, then your interest was 200 في a certain amount طبعا of money كان 200 and this has happened after 2 years وكان الريت المديني له البنك 4%. الريت I've been given 4%. Okay, so that is the 200 is equal to this a constant times a rate which was 4%, that is 4 over 100 times a time which is 2 years. So this is equal to 0.04 times 2 times k. So I can calculate now the k, correct? Okay. 2 times 0.04 which is 0.08. يبقى 200 over that will give me the k from here. إذن ال k بتساوي 200 over 0.08. Okay, so the k is equal to 2,500. The k is 2,500. يبقى now I have an equation. So the interest is equal to 2,500 times a rate, okay, which is R times the time. So this is our equation. Now, طيب, how much interest would be earned in 3 years at a rate of 5%? طيب, so after 3 years, and if the bank gave you a rate of 5%, what is going to be your interest? So my interest is going to be equal to 2,500 times the rate I have been given 5 على 100, so it is 0.05, and then times the time, which is 3 years, so times 3. And you calculate that, and in this case, you're going to have an interest of 375. طيب, let me tell you one thing now. Okay, what is this? يعني for مثلا for instance in this example, what is this at 2,500? Yeah, it is a constant. But what is that constant? It is the amount, an initial amount you're going to put in the bank for what? For the 2 years. And he gave me that bank a rate of interest, an interest rate اللي هو 4%. That means if you put your amount of money in the bank, okay, for 2 years with this rate, after this 2 years, your amount, this one, will be increased by what? By this 200. Okay, so this is the constant. That is for this amount. If you have this amount, you can using this equation, you can find what the interest for a certain rate after certain time. And actually, if you knew any two, you can calculate the third variable. If you have the interest and you have the time, you can calculate the rate that you have been given. If you have interest what time, sorry, interest with rate, you can find that this interest you have going to give it with this rate after how many years, and etc. So is it clear? طيب, طبعا if you change the k constant, so you will have another equation for another شنو you will calculate for a new شنو new starting amount of money. اوكي طيب الاماونت حقك في النهايه حيبقى كم؟ القروش حقتك بعد سنتين اللي حتستلمها كم؟ this the 2500 plus الانترست بلس الربح ربحته plus اللي هي 375 مثلا if you have been asked for that. But anyway, it is also an equation that shows if we have a variable that is proportional to two quantities, okay, who jointly varies jointly with this and this, with two quantity, okay. Okay, so this way we finished this chapter, and if you have any questions you can ask. طبعا على حسب الكي بتختلف المسألة. okay, so as per the given للمسألة دي the K it is 2500 for this one as per the given المعلومات الgiven ال K is that. okay, so and then you do the calculations for this K. You can know the energy if you have been given مثلا for instance the weight and the velocity. okay, طيب مثلا I can say لو كانت الديستنس is proportional to the time. صح؟ كل ما time directly proportional increase then the distance will increase. طيب in this case, okay, so that is d is equal to some constant times t. If I said that d is proportional to t, so that is the distance بتساوي a constant times the time. طيب actually this quantity which is constant اللي هي عبارة عن شنو؟ عبارة عن الدي distance اللي هي اليونت بتاعت متر. اوكي الديستنس بقيسها ب مثلا متر كيلومتر whatever. اوكي let's say كيلومتر. اوكي a time if I'm using an hour هيكون عندي K is equal to D over T. صح؟ D over T. So at D اللي هي بالكيلومترات what time that is over hour. So what is this unit? It is the velocity. صح؟ يبقى for a constant velocity لو كانت السرعة ثابتة velocity. So in this case I can find the D. If you are moving مثلا let's say with a constant velocity 80. Okay, so 80 times T. I will know where I reach. صح؟ لو كانت T 2 hours I will know when I reach after 2 hours. If it was 30, so I know after sorry, if it's 5 hours then I will know how long our distance that I traveled after that, and etc. Okay, but anyway this is the constant of proportionality, and here for this relation you will find that it is what we call it is the velocity, because the unit حقته عبارة عن شنو؟ الunit it's kilometer per hour. يبقى this is unit of velocity. yes, anyway don't give yourself or bother yourself by headache انه الكي هو عبارة عن شنو, but it is the constant quantity. Okay, to have this equation, since this is proportional to that, we have to find the constant of proportionality no matter what is it. Okay, so D هتساوي K في T. Okay, ignore حكاية ال V. Okay, so we need to calculate T, ال K. If he give me the time and the distance, that مثلا after 2 hours you traveled a distance of 60, that is your K مثلا is 30. Or after 2 hours you travel 120, that is your K is 120 over 2, which is 60, correct? And etc. Okay, so you can find al K if I am traveling with this K. Okay, so now we need the distance if I moved for 7 hours, or the opposite. I need the time if my distance is مثلا 200 kilometer. Okay, so if you knew anyone, you can calculate the others when you fix the k. Okay, طيب, any question? طيب, we stop here if you have no questions.